I want to share with you a practice that I've been doing quite a bit in the evening time, and it is a self-massage practice and a breathing practice specifically for down regulation. Down regulation is just a fancy way of saying soothing the nervous system's response to stimulus. Um, of course, we are in a time of our lives right now where we are receiving constant input, constant stimulation, whether that be from the news, which has been particularly brutal this week, or just the anxiety provoked by the fact that we are not yet on the other side of this coronavirus crisis. It could be, these just feelings of uncertainty. Many of us are feeling alone right now. All of that is going in, right? And we need a practice to calm our system's response to all of that input. As yogis, we believe that we can directly control the experience that the mind has by actively manipulating our bodies and our breath. And so this practice in particular is meant to free up the muscles of respiration, muscles of breathing. It is designed to alleviate tension in some of the common areas that we hold it, like our backs and shoulders, and we'll work on the jaw at the very end. And I hope that it provides you with some freedom, some deeper sleep, and some relaxation and restoration that we all desperately need right now. You will need a little bit of specialized equipment for this. The most unusual thing that you might not have at home is this is a Coregeous ball made by the Yoga Tune-Up company. You can very easily purchase this on Yoga Tune-Up's website. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy one from me if you'd like to arrange a curbside pickup at the studio. I'm happy to set you up with one of these, or you can simply use like a kid's ball that you have lying around the house. I just want to grab one other thing. If you're really in a pinch but dying to do this practice, you can also use a blanket that is kind of pulled up and rolled, pretty tightly. That would match or replicate the size and shape of an inflatable ball. So if you're really stuck, that will work too. You will need 2 classic Yoga Tune-Up balls. I know that a lot of Blackbird students already have these at home. If you don't have the tune-up balls, 2 tennis balls of equal size are a good option. Lacrosse balls, the only thing you don't want to use is something that is really small, like a golf ball, just because those are a little bit too pokey, a little bit too intense. So you'll need 2 smaller balls. And finally, you'll need a standard sized yoga block. This is, I should know the exact dimensions, but don't, maybe something like 6 by 8 inches. So if you don't have yoga blocks at home, something like a really thick book, maybe 4 inches thick, really thick book, or 2 books, or a box. You want the box, if it's like a cardboard box, you want it to be full, but we all need to improvise, so if you don't have a block, find something of similar size and shape and you should be good to go. We're going to do the more active elements of this practice first, and then we will slow it way down into a relaxation and a meditation. So I would suggest that you grab all of the supplies that you need and have them within arm's reach to your mat. And the last thing I want is to move you into deep relaxation and then all of a sudden you realize you're cold and you want to go grab a blanket. Make sure that you have layers of clothing, a blanket, your props all nearby. It's really nice to have a dedicated space in your house, even if it's just a corner of your bedroom for your yoga practice, and let your family know that you're going to spend the next half an hour or so resting and meditating and that you need some alone time. It's a practice in removing stimulus, so we'll want to try to remove as much input from the environment as we possibly can, which is why it's nice to have a separate space. All right. So we'll actually begin with the classic tune-up balls because we're going to do just a roll along the spine, a roll along the back, just to start to get the body used to the sensation of self-massage and open up the muscles that control the breath, the movement of the lungs behind you. So I'm just going to set myself up over at an area of the wall where I don't have a wall hanging, okay? And there's not really a right or wrong way to do this, but I will start with the balls right at the bottom tips of my shoulder blades, okay? Just next to one another. And you can walk your feet out a few inches away from the wall, and I'm just going to bend my knees and straighten them. Bend and straighten. Massaging the muscles of the back. So this is a very gentle way of doing this. If you feel like you want to jump right into deep tissue work, you can do this lying on your back, but this is a practice about letting go and breathing, and it's not really meant to be jarring on the system in the same way we sometimes use these balls for like deep release work, right? This is a gentle practice. Let's move them to the lower back, but this time we'll place one on top of the other, right at one side of the lower back. It doesn't matter which side because we'll do both at the same time. Same thing, bend your knees, and then you can shift your hips from side to side using the balls to massage across the entirety of your lower back. Breathe here. We'll practice a couple of different breath techniques, but as long as the breath is moving, it's yoga. If you need to switch sides, you can switch sides. And then move your props out of the way and just stand up for a moment, take a breath. Notice what it feels like to breathe into the back of your body. Consciously, most of us envision the breath as something that moves up and down and out of the lungs. But I wonder what it would feel like to breathe from side to side, wider. And I wonder what it would feel like to breathe into the back ribs, the back of the lungs. And we'll come to lying on your backs. Again, this is one of the more active exercises that we'll do. This one is meant to open up the hip flexors, the psoas muscle, which might not initially feel like it's involved in breathing, but it very much is. They very much are. There are two muscles connect from the pelvis all the way up to the 12th rib, so the last rib of your upper spine. They're said to be the suspenders of the body, very much involved in that fight or flight reflex that we often feel. And so this is just a nice set of exercises to stretch and open those hip flexor muscles that not only are
restricted when we feel tense and anxious, but just by sitting all day. Okay, so you'll place your ball between your knees just to add an element of inner thigh work and mula bandha work if you're familiar with that concept, root lock. And then I'd like you to breathe again into the front, sides, and back of your body, almost as though your abdominals are a canister. Pressing the back of the body into the floor with your breath, getting as wide as you can, keeping your throat open. Fill, 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 and then squeeze the ball together with your knees. Keep that fullness. Inhale. And exhale. Release it all back down. Let's try this a few times. Inhale, fill. Fill the back of the body, fill the sides, lift. Squeeze the ball. And exhale. Release. Let's try 6 more of those on your own. And when you've finished 8 repetitions, you can gently move your ball off to the side. And then walk your feet out as wide as your sticky mat. And bring your arms into a goalpost shape. And drop your knees over to the right side. So feet wide, drop the knees to the right. And really focus the awareness of your breathing into the left side body. For this practice specifically, I'd like you to relax your belly when you breathe. And that is an area of the body, specifically women's bodies, that tend to hold a lot of tension because we are so conscious of it all the time. So you are in your own space, in your own home, just let that grip on the belly go so that you can have a fuller experience of your own breathing. Point your knees back up toward the ceiling and drop them over to the left. This time shifting your awareness into the right side body. And gently come back to center. Draw your knees into your chest. And take a few gentle rocks and make your way back up into a seat. And just take a deep breath for a moment. reset, and we'll grab your larger ball again. So the next exercise, we actually call this the Sidewinder, and you'll see why in a moment. If you're comfortable, and if not, it's okay to just leave your shirt down. But if you're comfortable, it's nice to actually pick up your shirt in the back. We're gonna do this on the lower back so that the ball makes contact with your skin. One of the things you'll notice about the yoga tune-up balls in particular is that they have sort of a slightly textured surface that allows them to grip the skin as you use them. And the reason why that matters is because we are working on the fascia of the body. Fascia is a connective tissue, sort of like a webbing that innervates all of our muscles. It moves through all of our muscles and our organs and tissues and everything else. But it also acts as a sheath that lies on top of the muscles. And so all this to say, we have like a superficial layer that also gets bound up and needs attention. So I think that a lot of times when we think of self-massage, we think we have to get really deep and feel a lot of sensation, and that's not necessarily the case. We also need to work on the superficial layers of tissue. So if you're comfortable, when you lie down on this, just lift on your lower back, just lift your shirt up so that the ball is making direct contact with your skin, and if that doesn't feel good, no worries. We're gonna lie down with this at your lower back. And I invite you just to take a few rounds of breath here just to get used to this sensation, which could be new. Few breaths into the belly. Still loosening the grip on the belly. As you breathe, try to even press downward into the wall. Now, you'll see why it's called Sidewinder. I want you to do your best to keep the ball stationary. And you'll step the feet to the right, just a couple inches, 4 inches, 5 inches. And move your shoulders to the left. So you've started to twist the body around the ball a little bit. And this could feel like nothing. For me, it actually feels quite intense. Everyone's body will have a different response to this. I actually feel it right up into that psoas muscle on the left side, interestingly enough, but no right or wrong, just deep breaths into the belly. And we'll step the feet again, another couple inches to the right, and the shoulders to the left, another twist. With deep belly breaths. One more. Twisting around the ball. And then just gently back to center with the ball beneath your lower back. And just let your sacrum be cradled here. We'll go the other way. So step your feet over to the left a few inches. And then keeping the ball as it is, shoulders to the right. And head. Feet to the left, shoulders to the right. One more time. And come back to center. Walk it all the way back. Move your ball out of the way for just a moment and come to a Shavasana just to feel what you feel. Bend your knees. Draw them into your chest. Take a few rocks along your hips and spine until you make your way all the way up into a seated position. And let's just do a few shoulder rolls back. And forward. And back. And forward. Interlace your fingers, stretch your arms out in front of you, curl the upper back. So draw your navel in, push the air away with your arms as you really round the spine and tuck your chin into your chest, and then inhale, stretch up, reach your palms to the ceiling, lengthening the sides of your waist. Exhale, arc your body to the left palm on the ground, right arm up overhead. Inhale back to center, exhale other way. And inhale back up. Let's come back to the ball. This time we're going to place the ball right between your shoulder blades. So with a Coregeous ball that's probably a little smaller than like a toy ball, if you're using that, you're probably okay without blankets under your head. If your ball is larger than this, you'll need a blanket nearby just to prop the underside of your head, okay? So this is going to go right up at the upper back between the shoulder blades. And as you lie down, use your thumbs to find the notch at the base of the skull. Give it a pull so that the back of your head lands right on the ground, and let your arms go. To move up back a little bit. And it's up to you what you'd like to do with your legs. Okay. You can extend them out in front of you if that feels best, or keep them bent. I'm going to keep them bent. And we'll actually spend some time here because we hold so much in the upper back and it restricts our breathing so much. I'm going to count for 20 breaths in my head. If it feels more meditative to count, then count. If it feels better to just sort of slip away, I will call you back when it's time. Start to come back. Just in awareness, try not to move the body. Blink your eyes open, and instead of popping right up out of this, roll yourself over onto one side into just a fetal position for a moment, which is actually a very soothing and grounding position. And let yourself just be connected to the ground. And you can use your hands to press yourself up to sit. Okay. Now we are going to work with something called a visceral breath, which is actually this placement of the ball is going to give your visceral organs a bit of a massage, and it will also work some muscles that get really tense on the sides of the body, like the obliques and the QLs. So we'll lie down with the ball at the right side of your waist. And you can prop your head up with your right hand. And just take a few rounds of breath, really thinking about that sort of three-dimensional breathing. So up, down, front, back, side to side, with particular attention to expanding the right side of the body and pressing out into the ball. So we'll inhale for a count of 4, filling up that canister and pressing into the ball. Hold for a count of 4, and then exhale for twice as long for a count of 8. Inhale for 4. Filling up, pressing out, expanding. Exhale, 8. Inhale, 4. Exhale, 8. One more time. Inhale, 4. Exhale, 8. Good. And let's roll over to the other side. Left side of the waist. Prop your head. Inhale, 4. Pushing out. Exhale, 8. Okay. Now, I'd like you to roll until the ball is right beneath your belly. And you can prop yourself up on your hands here and close your eyes. Now, if you've never done this before, this can be a little bit uncomfortable. But it's another practice in really releasing that belly completely. So we'll breathe here, but I'd like you to sort of loosen your grip on consciously breathing and just let your body really soften and melt around your prop. Start to make your way back. And walk your hands back next to your chest and just gently press yourself into a tabletop pose and then a child's pose. Inhale back up. Now I'd like you to take hold of your block or similar prop and place it at the top of your mat. And we're going to use the small ball, the tune-up ball, in order to massage the really tight muscles that we probably don't even notice we're clenching all the time, but we are. Masseter muscles, the jaw. So before you lie down, just place the ball right at this sort of thick muscle at the angle at the side of your jaw and give it a little bit of a massage. You might even start to feel just how
tense that is, okay? And I'd like you to lie down on your side and adjust your block if you need to. Extend your right arm out underneath you. And place the ball at the jaw and just give it a gentle circular roll. So depending on how tight these muscles are for you, this could be quite intense. You might need to lift up and remove some body weight, or maybe you like to go a little deeper. I find that when I have a headache, it's often the result of tension in this part of my jaw. So I do this a lot when I have a headache, and it seems to help ease it quite a bit. Open and close your mouth a few times. And roll. And we'll switch sides. Rolling onto your other side. Thread your left arm through. And big circular rolls all over that larger muscle on the left side. Open and close your mouth a few times. And roll. We'll keep the block as it is. Take hold of your other ball. And I'd like you to take with you any props that you like for final relaxation. So I am a big fan of an eye pillow, particularly for these nighttime practices, a blanket that you can use. For this practice, I actually really like to use blankets for weight rather than necessarily warmth. So I'm just going to fold it into a rectangle. And when I lie on my back, I'll place it right over my hips and pelvis. Okay. This is a nice stretch for the neck. You're going to place your two balls right at the notch at the base of the skull, so they actually start to sort of traction and pull on the neck. And if this doesn't feel good to you, feel free to simply lie flat on your back. And you can let your arms fall out to the sides. Close your eyes. Cover your eyes with your eye pillow if you like. We'll be here for several minutes. If at any time it feels better to move into a traditional Shavasana or any other restorative pose or meditation position, please feel free to take what you need. And I will bring you back when we're